Good morning. My name is Inga Cotton, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And here at San Antonio Charter Moms, we are presenting activities that families can do at home with their kids to keep the learning going. Since a lot of us had to do distance learning in the spring, and it's looking like when the school year starts in the fall, it's still going to be distance learning for most of us. So we have a special guest today. We have Kelly Alston. Did I say that right?
Yes, that's right.
Good. Okay. So Kelly is a teacher at the School of Science and Technology Discovery, which is a charter school here in San Antonio. And she has just an amazing set of activities. And the link is in the description of the video. And you can click through, and she's got pictures and materials and procedures. And what's great is that they're tailored for lots of different ages. And so, like whatever age your kids are, you will find something that they can do to explore magnetism. So Kelly teaches kindergarten, and she's been she says she's been in love with learning for almost 2 decades. She's married. She has a daughter who's almost 8 years old. And you said you were painting the dresser, right?
Yes, I got a little carried away. She wanted it purple, and so it's summer. Can't do anything else. Might as well.
That's right. Just get your hands dirty. So yeah, and Kelly, you said you're an extrovert, and it's been kind of hard to be, not have your students with you, right?
It is so hard because I thrive in an environment where I can just be excited and go all out. And my daughter loves that version of me, but my husband sometimes needs it to come down a notch because we're just together all the time now.
Right, and he's working from home, and you're teaching and being a mom at home. Yeah. So how was the transition in the spring to working and teaching and parenting from home? And do you have any kind of takeaways from that, as we kind of get prepared to do that again?
Well, having activities to do like these science activities is really important, but at the same time, before you can even get to that level of excitement and learning, you have to have a really good schedule. And we drafted through 4 or 5 different versions of a daily schedule that would fit all of our needs. But after many, many tries, we have a really good block scheduling with pictures and descriptions for our daughter so she can keep herself on track whenever we're working. So she has time for independent learning, and she doesn't get electronics till the end of the day. So that's been really important because she's an only child. She has nobody to hang out with. So she gets to use her messenger app to communicate with friends.
Yeah, that's some really good advice there. It felt like for us, like we kept having to revise the calendar, and then like something would change, be like, oh, the office hours for school are now at this time, and there were times when I felt frustrated. It was like, why do I have to keep editing this? But, that's part of the process of how you make things good, is you have to kind of, take your starting point and see what works, see what doesn't work, change it, make it better, right? It's worth the effort to get it right. Just keep changing it. Yeah. And then like you said about I like what you said about, like making the schedule pictorial so that like she can look at it herself and kind of know, like, what she's meant to do at certain times, right? That they that self-reflection.
Yes. So I developed it for a couple different friends also. So I did it to where there wasn't any descriptions of what the expectations were. And so after I did that for them, I was like, I should do that for my daughter because she's now memorized what morning routine is, because the description is over here. But whenever she sees morning routine in the picture, she just goes and she does it. She doesn't have to go through and read each thing anymore. So really.
Right. Yeah. Isn't it great when they grow and they get responsible for stuff?
It's been amazing. It really has. I mean, she went to a Montessori school for 3 years, and so she already had a lot of more independence than I had seen in most children. But now her confidence level is up as well because of the things we're now requiring her to do on her own, because we don't have the time while working. So
yeah. Well, I hope families listening to your testimony think, maybe like you may think that having a schedule is too intimidating, but when it gets you to that place where people know what they're meant to do, and it just takes that stress out of it, and they can be more independent, it makes life better for everybody, right?
Well, it does, because whenever it's time for her academics, at the beginning when our schedule was bad, there was tears involved, and I was doing the things like, do you treat your teacher like this? Those moments. And but now there's joy, and even through summer, we've kept her doing academics twice a day, just because it was a good schedule, and she's excited to try new things. And that's the biggest part, is making sure that they're happy and not just doing it because I said so.
Yeah. Okay. You've made some really good points here. One is that in order for your kids to be like mentally in the right place to do academics, they have to have that feeling of safety, and having the schedule creates that for them, right? And then also the idea of like keep the learning going, because like learning actually does bring joy, right? It's like, it's not taking away the joy. It's like this feeling of discovery and trying new things and seeing how things work. Like that is part of the joy. And I think that's what's so amazing about these activities. It's like, I think kids are gonna have so much fun, playing with all these things. So let's dive in. And okay, so one of the points you make in the initial post, kind of the introductory post, is that you're going to need different materials to do these activities, and some of us can just go kind of dumpster diving in the recycling bin, and then some of us are going to like go on Amazon, and you've got links you can click through and like order the supplies you need and get them delivered. So and I think your message is basically like no judgment zone, right? Like just get the materials however. So how would you describe that, or help parents frame that?
Well, so I've been the Pinterest perfect, stay-at-home mom who could take pictures of every single activity I ever did, because I was a stay-at-home mom, and I did, I kind of had time for that. I only had one kid. But then I've also been the hot mess mom, where I'm like, when is the last time my kid took a bath? I really should bathe her or something. It just is what it is. So I just started to realize that not everything has to be Instagram worthy. You can use in some of mine, I used a mouthwash bottle because I didn't have enough water bottles. It's not cute per se, but my kid still enjoyed it. She had fun. She didn't say, "Oh, that's a mouthwash bottle." And the more I can remove myself from what is picture worthy, the more joy I find in it. Because you can snap a selfie later to remember that moment of, joy for the activity you did, but you don't need to have the phone out all the time. Being in the moment with your garbage sometimes is really kind of fun.
That's really good advice. Like, because it's like what kids remember from it is not that it was a mouthwash bottle, but they remember that feeling of like, hey, I spent time with my mom, or I spent time with my dad, and we did this cool thing, and like that's the takeaway for them from it, right? Even if there's like, for me, it's like, oh, there's my pile of papers in the background of the photo. It's like, yeah, I need to clean up my pile, but important thing is we're like, we're doing fun stuff together, and that's the part that they'll remember. Hopefully they won't remember how messy the house was.
No, I don't remember really how messy my house was. My mom said it was messy when I was a kid, but I don't really remember. So that's good.
Yeah.
Gives me hope.
It's fun stuff. Yeah, right. Okay. So so I think one thing that is really rich about your blog post is that you have activities with kind of suggested age ranges. Although with your daughter, who's almost 8, like with your guidance, she was able to do a lot of the different activities. So, but I'm wondering, when you when you're designing them, like what do you think about as like how to differentiate, like what things make it more accessible to younger kids, and what things make it like more exciting or challenging for like up through like teenagers, like high schoolers?
So the main thing that I try to keep in mind is that every activity can be done differently for each child and their ability levels. And one of my favorite philosophers was Maria Montessori, and she said that the goal of early childhood education should be to activate the child's own natural desire to learn. So it's not exactly you telling them things, it's the child asking you questions. So you don't just overwhelm them with all this knowledge that is too much for their brain at that moment. It's not too much for their age, because that's not really a thing. Age is not a one size fits all, but it helps you guide them through each activity. And so that's why in the activities for different age ranges, I put different vocabulary to be used, different pre-research activities to be done, because by exposing my daughter to the fact that magnets were inside of big speakers, and the bigger the magnet, the bigger the sound, it was a way for her to hypothesize about what we might find magnets in at home. So I mean, every kid can do every single one, and it just follow your child. They'll tell you, they'll show you.
Right. Listen to the questions that they ask and follow where their questions lead. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's very, I like how, like our part of our kind of overall purpose, for these activities. I'll put the URL, but like, I mean, since for June and July, we've had like a different activity featured each day. And part of the goal is that, like I think a lot of parents in the spring, they saw, links being shared on social media, and I almost felt a sense of guilt or overwhelm of like, well, there's all this stuff out there I could be doing, but I don't know how to get started, and I don't know, like it just seems too intimidating. It's like I give up. I don't know where to start. And so like part of our purpose for having this like clickable calendar is like everything's kind of broken down into pieces, and like you make it very, very welcoming. Like you're giving parents an on ramp, of right, and like you explain like how they can talk about it with their kids. Like you said, there's like these like kind of pre-research things to do, so it doesn't have to be scary. It's like just it's like today, just try this, start a new habit, and it'll help make memories, and maybe if the other people in your house need some quiet time, then you and your kids can be busy in this other part of the house, right?
Exactly. And the thing about these activities is that once we explored it together the one time, she kept going back to do it again on her own just because it was cool. And so she would spend sometimes half an hour exploring the same thing that we had just done together. And then now she kind of wants to take apart a lot more electronics, which is fine. I just need to go to Goodwill or garage sale because I don't really have any more electronics for her to take apart.
Right. Well, I was wondering that I noticed that too. Like my daughter and I did some backyard chemistry yesterday, and it's like, so we step by step we did the activity, but then like there were all these, there were the reagents, and there was this big pile of foam, and and she just wanted to keep playing with it, and it's like, go for it, because like kids have like they're sort of natural scientists in that like they want to try it again and see like, does the same thing happen or does something different happen, and it's that like they want to keep testing stuff. I think like my son does that a lot. He's on the autism spectrum, and I think that's sort of part of a characteristic he has that's actually, I think, will serve him well in the long run, is that if he's focused on an idea, he's going to keep working at it until he feels like he really understands it. He's not going to just get bored and give up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the activity with the earbuds in particular. So I was wondering if you could kind of go more in depth about that. Like just, I mean, because there's so many activities in the post, but like this one in particular, like, so if you could describe like, like how an adult can present it, and kind of what science principles kids could kind of get out of it. Okay.
So for us, we actually did all the other activities first so that she already had an excitement about magnets. Because if I would have just, showed her the earbuds thing first, I don't think it would have gone as well, but she had so much excitement about the idea of finding magnets that it brought her a lot more joy. And so what we did was we did each one of the activities, and then I did some research with her. And because of her age level, I didn't want to overwhelm her in every single place you find a magnet in the world. We looked at some refrigerators, how they seal with it, and we showed her the speakers and how the bigger the speaker, the vibration from the magnetic pulses. And so whenever we showed her the electronics that we had available, it was like a controller and a mouse and earbuds. And her brain automatically went to the point of like, there's got to be one in there. There might be one in there because that makes sound. So, and it was really kind of cool. We did wear safety goggles. We did have gloves, and we did all the tools. And it was really challenging to get those open, but she did find a magnet inside, and it was a really strong magnet for how small it is. And she was talking about the circuit board and how it was just inspiring her to know more. And that's one of the great things that the kids can learn from this is they're researching, they're collecting data, and she's explaining the data to me. And then now she's thinking of other ways she could make it better. Like one day when she makes her own speakers, or one day when she needs a magnet. So that's one of the things that I learned about in college was, learning about all the philosophers. Piaget had said something about we are just designing education. Years ago, he had said we were designing education to be a one-size-fits-all. We wanted kids to fit somewhere here, and we weren't creating, engineers, we weren't creating scientists and people who wanted to know more. We wanted them to know as much as we wanted them to know. But now at SST, we have the freedom to encourage growth and within each child, wherever each child is at their time.
That's a really good segue. Okay, I want to make sure that that I give you a good chance to talk about like what you love about SST. Is there any more stuff about the experiments that you want to share, or just like advice for families about like doing them at home?
So I put some extensions in there because my daughter loves art, and she loves building things, and she loves engineering and chemistry and all of that stuff. And so while science is super important, it's really important for her to find the beauty in life as well. So we added paint to, with paper clips, and we painted with magnets. We've done all different. We even made slime, which was kind of stinky after a couple days because we used iron filings with glue, and it was fine at first. It was super cool. Magnets were reacting, but then after a couple days, it started to stink, and I don't understand what happened. So that's another thing we get to research is chemically what happened.
Right.
So always just follow your child as long as they're interested. Keep going, because even though they're young, that their brains are still capable of learning more and knowing more. So
I think that's a really important message. Having high expectations. Like don't just label them because of their age and think like, yeah, that's all they need. It's like, no, like really open your ears to the questions they're asking and find ways to reinforce that.
And to challenge them in a polite way. I mean, obviously, if they haven't grown up with this level of activity from a really young age, you might have to actually bribe a teenager to, get started on some of this stuff. But, it's life. You got to do what you got to do.
That's right. Okay. Well, I want to be sure that we talk about the school that you teach at. Oops. Oh, sorry. I need to update my link.
That's not the right
one. Wrong one. Okay.
It's okay.
We've had multiple SST teachers as authors on this project.
Oh, yes. And all of the SST campuses are amazing. So I'm not offended that that's a good campus with a lot of good teachers.
Okay, but the campus you teach at is School of Science and Technology Discovery. So that's the one that's located at, let's see, Loop 410 and Bandera, right?
Yeah, in Lehigh Valley over there. So it's a really good location for a lot of different families to come to us. And it's a really good campus. We're constantly, doing updates and upgrades just to be better. But so is there anything you wanted to know about it? Like, what do you want me to say?
Trying to think about, let's see, I remember visiting for an activity. It was like for Hour of Code, and there were like lots of kids doing computer programming, including like really even young kids. So it goes up to 8th grade, right? But
yeah,
does it starts at kindergarten, or does it start at pre-K?
Pre-K.
Starts at pre-K. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the? Oh.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. What are some of the like the STEM activities that the like young kids get to do?
So everything that we've done in the past has been hands-on learning. It's not just the teacher demonstrating a science project. It's small groups, collaboration, getting them to communicate with one another. My kindergartners know how to code better than I do, which is amazing. And I actually coach first grade robotics as well. And we're trying to open it for younger grades next year, now that we kind of know how first grade did, and they did amazing. But it's all about growth for each individual child. And so if one kid can't necessarily understand coding right now, we don't give up on them, and the kid who was able to meet their goal, we don't say, okay, you met your goal, you can stop now. We're like, all right, what next? What are you going to do next? So I really enjoy that. And I have amazing colleagues and an amazing administration. And my niece, nephew, and daughter are actually all students there. So it's home to me. And I see myself there for a very long time.
That's wonderful. Okay, I want to be sure. Oh, I'm going to be sure and show. Oh, wait, I got to edit the link here. Okay, so it's is this the right link? This is how families can go.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is where families can go if they want to learn more about school of science, technology, discovery. And if you want to find out about like all the campuses in the region, just go to the sstschools.org website. So because there's multiple campuses in San Antonio. I know there's some construction going on, right? Like SST Hill Country is getting their campus built. Very exciting.
Yes, it's a good time to be a student at SST and to work for SST, because our superintendent and everybody on staff has just been working really hard for families to provide everything that they need. And they've been meeting over the summer and training over the summer and collaborating with teachers, volunteer teachers, to make curriculum that's appropriate for the time that we're in right now. And I'm just so proud of all of them.
Yeah, this is a really difficult time, but what I've observed is that like schools that have a strong sense of what their mission is and what their purpose is, they'll find a way to get to that purpose, even with the barriers of, right? I mean, like you're not able to get a group of kids together to work on robotics together, but maybe you can find other activities, things that they can do at home with maybe a different set of materials, but they can keep learning those principles.
Yes, 100%. That's something we believe in, is that whatever we're teaching is that, especially when they're at home, is through the use of materials that can be found at home, and not if I go to Target really quick, just what can you find? So I try not to use manipulatives that would be found in the classroom in my instructional videos, so that parents can mimic and adapt to what I've done in something that's possible for them.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of work on the teachers, but like you said, if there's a strong commitment to to being effective, then you'll find a way. And I have faith that schools of science and technology is going to keep students moving forward, even during these kind of different times.
Yes. And if there's one piece of advice that I can give to any parent out there about to do distance learning, is to read to your child as much as possible. My daughter, she can read at, I guess, a 5th grade reading level, but I still read to her every single night from a chapter book, just so that she can get that imagery, so we can have conversations. And it's important. Your child, well, humans in general are never going to be at a level where we know everything. Nobody is an expert at everything. So just remember to read to them. And it's good for you too, to read out loud. It helps your brain and keeps it stimulated during this time of aloneness.
Yeah, that's true. Because like we were talking about earlier, that it's the time we spend together and the memories we make. That's what we hope kids can hold on to, right? And incorporating reading into that is great, because they're continuing to build their literacy skills and their memory and storytelling and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And my daughter asked me the other day, she was like, "What's your favorite thing to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she answered for me. She said, "It's reading." And I was like, "Well, what's my second favorite thing to do?" She goes, "Reading to me." And I was like, "If that's the memory you have, I love that. I love it. Thank you."
That's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like we have a comment. Let's see. Hey! That's one of the things I love about doing StreamYard, is that when people comment during the video, I can share it. So it's good to get you get reinforcement for what you're doing, and it's really brave. You put a lot of work into these posts. I'm really proud to have them on the site. And it's brave of you to come and be on this stream. So I'm glad that the SST community is backing you up. But I'm not surprised, because it seems like a really fun place.
I love the flexible seating that I use in my classroom, because it's about community and collaborating with one another. Students have to ask, is there a seat available at this table? And if there isn't, then they just find somewhere else. They can sit on the floor, in the chair, on a cushion. And it's because, as an educator, as my job, I don't have to sit all day. Most professions don't require you to sit all day. So why would I ask these kids to? So it's really helped a lot of my students. But the kids who really just want a chair, there's chairs. There's some traditional areas, because some people like that. But everybody's different.
Yeah. Well, and that's good advice for these activities. It's like each family can read the activities. There's a sequence to it, but they can make them their own, and they can find their own electronics, whatever stuff you have on hand. Grab the hammer, grab the safety tools.
talk about what is okay to take apart and asking permission beforehand. But my daughter has a collection of circuit boards. I never would have imagined in a million years that I would have little kind of electronic pieces everywhere, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so proud. Like I said, I'm so proud to have this on the site. And these, I think families who do these activities together, kids are going to come out with a lot of knowledge about magnetism, and they're going to be able to talk about it, like teach all of their friends all the stuff they know about magnets. So it just keeps going forward.
Even those middle schoolers and those high schoolers who have social media, it would be a cool thing to share with their friends. Like most of these would be picture worthy for kids, and you're going to be the cool mom, She's like, my mom's so cool, she taught me this cool trick type thing. So something to look for.
Good stuff. That is good advice. Okay. Any closing thoughts or things you want to share before we wrap up the video?
Just thank you for inviting me and for allowing me to share my thoughts, and I appreciate it.
I am so thankful too. Okay. Well, I look forward to someday getting to meet you in person and give you a big hug to thank you for all your work.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay. Bye.